Welcome, everyone. This is Dave Fortson, your host for the Green Proofing series hosted by Regen Network Development. This is our opportunity to profile sustainability professionals, the work they're doing around the world to support ecological repair, to reduce our impact, and to build a better world. And today I'm excited to have Ylva from Ramboll, who's going to be joining us right now. Ylva, welcome. Thank you so much. I know you're over in Sweden, I believe, and I'm here on the west coast of California. Thanks for staying up a little late and chatting with us. And let's just go right into it. So this is the first question I ask everyone. It's like, why are you here? Like, what drove you? You know, in a sustainability profession, it's a hard place to work at times, right? There's a lot of bad news. There's a lot of things that make it difficult, but you're in the heart of sustainability at scale, like at big infrastructure projects today. But it doesn't sound like this is your first, as I would say in America, our first rodeo. You've been at this for quite some time. So give us a little bit of a history of like how you landed here and, you know, why you're still here today.
Well, I studied math and physics at university, and I was always intrigued by challenges. And then I entered the environmental field in 1998, supporting companies with environmental management systems, I would say, taking care of their impact and working as effective as they could. So I think I'm always curious, and even if it's a tough topic, I'm extremely positive as a person. So I always think there is a solution, so I don't see it in black. And also I'm very, myself, I like to be out in nature. I like to go sailing. And so I want to protect what we have.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for being there. So a question as we, drop into Ramboll and, in reviewing the projects, as I was, sharing or thinking about earlier, it's like you're not dealing with small things. It feels like you're dealing with quite large things where thousands and thousands of tons of concrete and moving earth and redesigning how humans interact with the built environment is a core part of what Ramboll does. And maybe there are other things. Could you give us a sneak peek into the size and scale and systemic relationship that Ramboll has to the built environment?
I would say, I would take an example. We had an architectural competition. It's 6 blocks in the center of Stockholm, overdecking the central station and the railways. So it's and in that project, I was sustainability manager. So that large of a project, when it's 6 blocks in the middle of a big city, and there's a lot of topics within sustainability. It's the built environment, it's all the materials, it's water, it's emissions and energy solutions, energy systems for that area. So it's just so many topics. So in those projects, we always put a sustainability manager that sort of puts the targets or the objectives for the project what we want to achieve, and then also follows it up during the project. So that's and then of course there's a lot of research going on, like just doing feasibility studies for data centers, where they should be placed and why there. We call them sustainability fit assessments.
Great.
So quite big.
Quite big. And so maybe even touch on the data center stuff, because that's a hot topic right now, obviously.
Yeah.
I mean, data centers are growing like mushrooms all over the world, and citing them and reducing their impact and just helping them, in and of them, nature of themselves are huge energy hogs, because frankly, they're serving us, right? In our need for AI, our need for servers to process information. Can you take us into like how you're supporting at the principles level all the way down to the ground level, proper placement design, and, what you seeing as the kind of future challenges and opportunities that we're going to have around this, what we expect to be rapid data center expansion for it feels like for at least the next decade or so.
Yeah, and I would actually start, because I have worked with a client and it's a cable manufacturer, so it's far away from data centers. But they recently joined forces with a startup in Florida. So that means that if you would put the communication in air instead of glass that we have now with the fiber cables, you can speed up with 1.5. That also means for the data centers that you don't really need to have them very close to like Berlin and Paris and London, where there is a shortage of green energy and it's expensive as well. You can move them further away, and us as users, we will not feel the time difference anyhow. So that makes it easier to place the data centers where you do have access to green energy at a low cost. And that's essential, I think, for the development. Otherwise, it's just looking at the sustainability feasibility, it's everything, because it's also the stakeholders in the communities where you place these data centers. They take a lot of space, but they don't give a lot of work opportunities for the people living there. So they see it as negative. It takes a lot of energy, it takes water, but it doesn't give us jobs. So that's, you also have to work with the surrounding community and municipalities when you find the right space for a data center. So I would say it's everything that Ramboll does, from the very start that, our clients will come to us and say, we want this many locations in the Nordics. Where should we place them? And then we just look at all the countries and where do we have access to green energy, and where do we want to avoid using green space. So of course, if you can have a brownfield development, that's much better. And there's so many things to consider, but we follow it the whole range. And then we work closely. I come from environment and health, but I work closely with the structural engineers and the energy specialists. And so it's a combined team with all the science that you need to get the perfect fit, I would say.
So help us understand a little bit more about, Ramboll and the things it touches, because I don't think a lot of people, like Ramboll, at least for me, is not a household name. I have heard of it, but I had not, until I dug in, really understood how Ramboll might actually, in some ways play a pivotal role in providing the systemic changes required when in the built environment as we move closer toward net zero, or other kind of these other standards that are emergent from governments and from institutions and organizations. Like, how does Ramboll interact? So you have a client that comes in and is looking to locate a data center, or people are looking to redevelop a city space or something along those lines. So Ramboll will drop in with them and help them think through, it sounds like, how to do that best through, at least through the lens of sustainability. I'm sure a number of lenses, but that's one of them. Can you talk a little bit more about like the process and the principles that help you guide your clients into making the most ecologically sensitive choices that still make business sense and allow these projects to get built in a way that can be looked as examples of how we should be thinking about, all of our built environment choices moving forward?
I would say, yeah, and Ramboll is a foundation. So it's the ownership is a foundation with very strict and strong ethical governance for all us consultants. So I think it says people and nature are supposed to flourish from our solutions. And I would say it starts with the overview of sustainability fit assessments, where you pick out what is crucial for the sites we're looking at. And when it comes to biodiversity, it is very spaced or locally specific. So you can't say that this is a solution that fits globally. And it's the same with the water challenges and the energy challenges. So we always look at what are the challenges at this site or in this country, and make it very specific. My US colleagues, even, you sort of don't see it when you are from the Nordics yourself, but my US colleagues, they always say, oh, you have a Nordic approach to building societies. So I guess we do. It's a Danish company, and we do have a Nordic approach. And I think it's a very democratic approach, because we're very careful to involve stakeholders. And if you have like building a new stretch of rail for railways, of course, there's a lot of stakeholders. Every municipality you pass, the people that live there, the industry that is going to benefit from from the logistics and so forth. So and I know during COVID it was a struggle to invite them all. So we had a lot of digital solutions where people could post comments and opinions. There were like hundreds of them, and then we tried to fit them into our process. So I think it's a very, for us, it's a very democratic process. We need to engage all the stakeholders to make sure that we don't miss anything, because it's a large topic.
And where do you see, I mean, I assume Ramboll has to stay on the edge of emerging domestic policies in the companies that it operates in, or in the countries that it operates in, as well as emergent guidelines and policies that are coming out of the United Nations or large standards bodies. Can you maybe look over, into the future a little bit and share, what you see as some of these emergent requirements that Ramboll is going to be helping its clients meet, like, maybe even some of the more exciting ones, again, that are pushing the envelope, particularly around sustainability. What are some of the things that you are already starting to contemplate needing to adjust your approach or upgrade or up level how you support the design of major infrastructure projects to meet a climate uncertain future?
Of course, we do a lot of climate assessments. I think our water specialists, they had a really big job after the floodings of Copenhagen, and they sort of restructured more or less the whole central city to be able to cope with those kind of volumes of water. So I think in each project we learn as well, how to use the technology in the best way. It's not easy, and I think also we do have a challenge that the technology is changing the whole time. What can we use, and what is the best fit for now? And then you always get a lot of arguments saying, is this really the best approach? And I would say, well, that's how innovation and technology moves forward. You don't reach the best solution immediately. You take sort of leaps on the turfs and say, this is the best solution for now, but we probably find a better solution 5 years from now. So I would say it's like a never-ending story for us, and especially when it comes to resource management. So we did, now everyone turns for timber and wood products or bio-based products, but then we also have the biodiversity. So there's a challenge with the forestry, and could we have a regenerative forestry and still fill the needs of all the bio-based materials, going away from fossils materials. So it is a challenge, and I would say normally when in a bad mood, I would say the richer we get, the more difficult it becomes, because then we get confident that we can use a lot of resources and it wouldn't matter. So that's when I joke about my fellow citizens in Sweden. We say, oh, you did really nice. You put in like new windows, better for the energy, and then you put a hot tub in the garden. It's like, right, because you can afford it and it's nice. So so it's just the wealthier we get, the more a challenge it is actually, and also with the stakeholders.
Yeah, wealth creates this interesting dynamic of maybe being able to do this more beautiful, sustainable work, but also increasing the consumption pressures that face us as a society. So, moving into, the future of Ramboll, how do you see Ramboll's business model adjusting? So, and I guess, and maybe teasing on, you mentioned the floods in Copenhagen, for example.
Yeah.
How much is your design thesis when it comes to projects being built around new climate threats, be they weather, be they fire or other types of issues where it's not less about conserving energy per se, because I know that's all part of it, but in some ways, is it hardening, or how are you adjusting for uncertain futures? Like, how do you build that even into your design process where, you know, the 1,000-year flood comes every 100 years, or it comes every 10 years now. You know, so it feels like there's a shift happening, and you even see it in popular conversations in the climate space, that, you know, there's an assumption now we're going to blow through all of our targets. And now we need to prepare for higher seas, more uncertain weather, and what that means in the built environment, you know, where things are meant to last, you know, centuries. Feels like it's a very volatile space in how to do that well. Can you just speak a little bit to how you are at Ramboll preparing for that, and how you can communicate to your clients in a way that gets them to look beyond the next 10 years and really into the, you know, the next 100 years or so?
I would say it's in every project now. And then it depends on where in the world, of course. If it's but mainly I would say it's water. Water is an issue. Not Water is more of an issue than air quality, more or less. But that also depends on where you are. And I think it's in our processes. So we can't really do any projects without doing a sustainability fit assessment. And then, of course, it's always a challenge, the commercial side, economy side of the project, and new materials, and how much you can use new materials and where you can use them. It's also when you reuse materials, if it's like in the middle of a city, you have a big logistics problem, because where do you store it? And also, if it's a large project, where do you find that amount of reusable materials as well? That's also a challenge. So there's a lot of system change that needs to be done. There's a lot of scalability that needs to be done. I can see that, like Remondis and other working within the waste, as a waste entrepreneur or a waste supplier, they didn't look at it as a product, and now they look at it as a product. And that's a challenge for all the startups that have started, you know, with the using waste as a product, and then they get challenged by these big, large corporations. So I can see it's a maturity within the sustainability field, that the large corporations make this part of their business, and then they already have, you know, the logistics and how they the material flows. So then, and I like it because then it's scalable. It always takes longer time with the startups before you reach any volumes of these materials. But then also it's easy to take a wrong turn. So I have within our organization, I also are very involved with our LCA specialists. So they would say, this was just like playground mats.
And like LCA being life cycle analysis, is that?
Yes.
Okay.
So then these municipalities, this was actually in Norway, they wanted to see if they can find other materials for playground mats, so they don't get microplastics out. And then they had like 3 different startups that had new materials. But then we did thorough life cycle assessments of these new materials to say which way to go, because there's a lot of different topics, that not only climate, you have to look at other topics like pollution and energy use in the production, and so many. I think there's like 16 different in the LCA that you can use. So then we use the LCA specialists to do a thorough calculations on these 3 new materials, and then we can say to these municipalities, we would recommend this one. And then comes the next big issue. Is that scalable? Can they get the volumes that they want to all the playgrounds in their municipalities and so forth? But I think it's matured. I really like it because it has matured, and now it's like we wouldn't run a project without having the sustainability topics in it.
Yeah. Well, and I'm just appreciating the challenges of scale, of sustainability and scale, I guess, in the case of municipal or large scale projects that you all have to face. And I'm grateful that we have resources like Ramboll to help us navigate that from the life cycle analysis all the way to which materials and how to prepare for a climate uncertain future. So, as we close here, I would love to hear, and I ask this of everybody, what is the one thing right now that's bringing you hope, right? Again, as I started the show, it can feel dark and pessimistic at times. And it feels like sometimes, for us in the sustainability space, that we're always pushing a big boulder up the hill. On the other hand, we're all here and we're driving away trying to build a better world. Can you speak to something that helps get you up in the morning and gets you excited about the future of sustainability and our ability as humanity to weather this the climate storm?
I would say, looking at the companies and how they're now saying we cannot have only one sustainability manager. Now they have one sustainability manager for operations, and then they have the other one for products and services. So I think what makes me positive is that we have such a strong focus now on truly a strong focus on eco design in the product development, and looking and taking in all the information, and then also using digitalization to handle that vast amount of information that you have around the materials when you combine them into a house or any building. And also the legislation that will come, and now I'm talking Europe, that is quite strict. The maximum amount of CO2 per square meter newly built house puts a lot of pressure on the one producing the materials for architects and structural engineers and so forth. So I would say it's on the product side that I am thrilled that we truly are engaging in eco design.
Wonderful.
And that gives me hope.
Good. Wonderful. That's a great way to tout the show. Thank you, Ylva, for joining us and for your work in the space, and for joining us for the latest episode of the Green Proofing series. Appreciate you being here, and be well from West Coast of California all the way over to Sweden.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Bye-bye.